Welcome to Beyond the Review, customer conversations about digital transformation success, presented by Raven Intelligence. I'm your host and the founder and CEO of Raven Intel, Bonnie Tinder. Well, welcome. Today we are diving deep into the heart of software consulting excellence with our esteemed guest, Niesse, the Executive Vice President of Implementation at HRchitect. HRchitect is a premier consulting firm that specializes solely in human capital management and delivers expertise around the full life cycle of HR technology. Erica, welcome. So happy to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
And could you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, both personally and professionally?
Of course. So now at HRchitect, I run all of our implementation practices as well as our ongoing concierge services. So that means everything from the start of a project and going into years post go live as well. So I have also been with the company for around 11 years. So I started off in our workforce software practice, and then I also worked on our UKG practice. And then prior to coming to HRchitect, I worked for Ceridian as well as JDA, and mostly in that workforce management space.
Awesome. What made you join HRchitect?
So I would really say leadership was a big determining factor for me. So hearing about the strong values, culture, as well as work-life balance being extremely important to the company. So that was a really big push for me to make my decision to join the company. And then also 11 years ago as a road warrior, hearing that I could work from home was huge. It's something that you never heard in the consulting industry, especially there used to just be so much travel with consulting.
Yeah, well, that's a huge benefit for sure. So you've worked with UKG for many, many years. Where do you see them headed in the future?
So yeah, that's a great question because as we know, they went through a merger a number of years ago. So they are going to continue to enhance and evolve their technology around all of their various platforms. So that's everything from HR and payroll all the way to workforce management productivity. We're going to continue to see enhancements in all of those modules that encompass the solution. And then also most recently, they have acquired Niesse. So they have a really strong presence. UKG has a really strong presence globally for HR as well as workforce management. But to go into that payroll space globally is really going to take them to even greater heights.
Fantastic. Agree. And higher heights and also just a larger global footprint.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about HRchitect as an organization. At Raven, we see customers rating the organization, your consultants, and your projects. And we have over 120 reviews at last count. That number grows every day. About the service delivery of your team. Consistently, we see 5-star reviews with projects being delivered on time. And you don't see the churn rates with your team, which is definitely a testament to you and your organization. So I'm curious, from your perspective, what are the reasons that you see for this consistency?
Yeah, so I would say, it's extremely important to our organization to always provide exceptional customer service. And that is everything in what we're doing. So all the way from strategic services and helping to evaluate solutions, all the way through implementation and post-go live services as well. And then when we're looking at a customer, we're not looking at them in the short term. We're looking for long-term relationships. So UKG says it best. They say partnerships for life. And that's what we're looking for with our customers. So when we're embedding a consultant to a customer, we are giving them, one point of contact, and we also are providing them with extreme expertise in the solution. So we're able to implement all of the solutions that are within the UKG ecosystem. So when you're getting someone onto your project, they're not going to be a junior consultant. They're going to be someone that's senior in the solution. So they're able to really work with the customer and drive them towards best practices as well as suggestions in the implementation. So a few of those things, and then also that having that one point of contact is really, it fosters relationships. And you'll see that within our reviews is that relationship that our consultants are having with the customers is what they're writing about. They enjoy that contact that they're working with on a regular basis. And I really enjoy that they want to write about that because they're having such a great experience as well.
Without a doubt. And yeah. I know from seeing them, every review that comes through, that recognized consultant field is never blank. And, even in the comments, your customers will mention the consultants by name.
That's fabulous.
So knowing that the people side of a project is absolutely paramount, that means that you need to hire the best people. Can you talk about your approach to hiring? What are the things that you're looking for in a consultant?
Of course. So I would say a large part of our organization comes from an HR practitioner background. So that means that they're actually on the customer side and they're running UKG payroll processes. They're running HR and they're scheduling on a regular basis. So they're coming to the implementation side and coming from that background. And so we have found that a large part of our team comes from that background, and they make really exceptional consultants because they're able to speak to best practices in that field that they've worked in. They're able to give strategic insight, and they're also used to that fast-paced environment of needing to, pay people on time and streamline processes within an organization. So that is really the biggest thing we look for. Also, having implementation experience is always a plus. And then, as I talked about earlier, culture. So being a culture fit and being able to collaborate within our groups and working really well among our teams is really, the candidates that I enjoy, adding to our team.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and at Raven, we measure a customer's perspective on 5 major traits. And those are, number one, the system expertise that is brought by both the consultant and HRchitect. Number 2, the implementation process. Number 3, responsiveness. Number 4, the quality of the consultant. And then 5, your flexibility and adaptability. So on every single review, those are the 5 traits that we ask a customer to rate on a scale. And on a consistent basis, as I mentioned before, you at HRchitect are receiving a high degree of ratings in each one of these very important 5 buckets. I'm wondering, can you sort of go back and define each one of those and how you're managing the team to, basically deliver on each one of those aspects?
Of course. So I would first start, on our team, I would say responsiveness. So just kind of starting with that, I think that communication is key to a project. So, and I think about communication in terms of friendships, in terms of marriage, and in the work environment. It's extremely important. And so having that communication with our customers, that transparency, the responsiveness, and also being able to align with them on the project and the needs of the project. So customers want to feel heard, and they want to hear from their consultant on a regular basis and their project manager. So, I would absolutely say that that's extremely important when it comes to building that relationship and that foundation of trust on a project. And then, extremely important is that system expertise as well. So, this is really key to the project because you want someone that's coming into your organization, they're doing an implementation. As a customer, you might be doing this for the first time, or this might be something that is you've done an implementation, but you've never worked in that system. So having a strong resource that's going to be able to guide you through the system and being able to speak to the system is extremely important. And so at HRchitect, we average about 10 years of HCM system expertise on our team. So we're getting, as I mentioned earlier, the senior consultants on the project. So we have vast expertise in all of the modules that encompass the solution. And then also we go through extensive training by UKG. So we are going through the implementation training as well as we're on projects. We're shadowing a few projects before we even put a consultant out there. So we feel like that's definitely an extremely important one because you need someone that's really going to be able to speak to the system and know the system really well.
Absolutely. And, it's having that foundation of just years of experience in the HR domain is really important. But without that technical expertise as well with the product and its capabilities, again, it sort of goes hand in hand for a successful background.
Absolutely.
So how in terms of each one of these areas internally, how do you recognize your top performers? And what are the keys to retaining folks for an average that's really high in terms of years with HRchitect?
Yeah, so, I think it's really important to always be giving your team members kudos. So, we have extremely low turnover at our organization, extremely low to where anybody is leaving our organization. So it's really important to us to foster these relationships with our consultants to where, the work-life balance keeps them, really engaged and knowing that they can have that additional family time. But internally, we're always giving kudos and appreciating our team members. So whether that's giving shout outs or emails of congratulations or sending gifts to our employees just to recognize just an extremely job well done on a project, we're always going above and beyond. And our marketing team is fabulous and always finding little ways to just, show everybody that we care.
And that partnership between, your marketing organization and human resources, I think that's such a great union because I know we see it all the time, with the recognition of your team that doesn't just, stop at the review. It goes out internally so that you can, use the voice of the customer to recognize people. So really cool.
Absolutely.
So thinking about the keys to a successful implementation, what would you advise a UKG or a Dayforce or really any HCM customer about ready to do an implementation? What are the things that you would recommend that they do before they start?
Yeah, so before they start is really thinking about the long-term strategy. So it's really important to not think about when you're going to implement, you're going into a rapid implementation, you want to just fix some of the current items, but you need to think about the long-term strategy because you don't want to implement a solution you're only going to use for a couple of years. You want something that is going to be set up for that long-term strategy. So adopting a change management process is extremely important on all of our projects. So that's getting user adoption early on in the project, getting people excited about the system that they're going to be implementing in the future. And when we see that our customers have gone through with the change management process, they've included some of the end users in some of those conversations, and they're getting them excited, and they're doing that training plan, it's really going to make for a very successful implementation. So starting off the project with that change management, and also what we also suggest is doing somewhat of like a phase 0 approach. So where you do a discovery of your current processes, because a lot of times with the solutions that we implement, we go in and we're looking at future process. Okay, what do you want the future to look like? But a lot of times customers really need to dig into their current state and understand all of their current integrations and current policies and company policies and all of those things before they get started.
Yeah. Yeah. So really give yourself the best possible scenario to have at the start line by making sure that your process, your data, and really your long-term strategy is well thought out.
Absolutely.
What are some of the common mistakes that you see customers make?
So I would absolutely say not taking on a change management strategy. So that, and then not training or not doing really thought out training for your end users. So if someone feels like they've gone through the training of the system and they understand the solution, they're going to be a lot more excited about using it in the future. So putting together that training plan and that change management adoption plan, not doing those things is going to cause for not such an easy project and not as much user adoption in the end.
Yeah. Change management. It's the area that gets the most shortchanged, and yet one of the most important to have accounted for during an implementation. Well, in wrapping up here, if a customer wants to get in charge or in touch with HRchitect or your team, what are some of the things that they you would suggest that they do?
Yeah, I mean, I would say starting off early on so if even you're thinking about doing an implementation in the near future, reaching out to us, and we can really get you engaged early on and starting with our strategy and evaluation team. So I would say, check out our website, and also, reach out to anybody within the website. So our sales and marketing team, there's a few different links to where you can connect with us on there and, see all of the solutions that we provide within the company.
Absolutely. HRchitect.com. And also I would even add to that, read some of the reviews out on Raven about HRchitect and see what other customers have experienced. We always say the voice of the customer speaks volumes, and in terms of the feedback you guys have received, it's really special and unique.